Hello everyone and welcome to the 27th episode of the Little Thespian Podcast. On today's episode, we have a gifted, talented actress, singer, dancer, director, graphic designer, and all-around great human being. Her name is Olivia Lepore. So without further ado, let's hop into episode 27 of the Little Thespian Podcast. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 27th episode of the Little Thespian Podcast. On today's episode, we have a gifted, talented actress, writer, director, and graphic designer, and an all-around lovely human being. Her name is Olivia Lepore. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. And I'm so glad to have you on the 27th episode of the Little Thespian Podcast. I truly cannot believe we've been doing this for how many months now? I've lost count. 27 episodes, guys. That's insane.
Actually amazing.
I know, and people continue to ask whether they can be on and whatnot. And I'm so happy with how it's turned out so far. And guys, keep sending the love. I really appreciate it. And I cannot wait to have more amazing guests on, such as Olivia. So without further ado, guys, before we hop in, I just want to let you guys know, unfortunately, we're still dealing with COVID. So please do as the government says. In other words, wear a mask, wash your hands. I know I shouldn't need to continue to say that, but yet we are still dealing with the pandemic during this time. So please, guys, the light is just in the distance. We just need to hopefully get to it very, very soon, because I know a lot of people are really struggling during this time. So kind of also lend a hand where you can and help out in whatever way you can. I know that during this time, I've been trying to do my best with this podcast to give you guys some sort of light during this time. So continue to kind of shed your light if you can during this time. So without further ado, let's hop into episode 27 with Olivia. So the first...
Sorry, I was just going to say that was really beautiful.
Oh, thank you. So the first question, as per every Little Thespian podcast, how exactly did you get into theater?
Well, started in elementary school, I guess. I always kind of knew I wanted to be an actor from, I don't even remember what age. I guess I would say 5. I don't know. And then I was in grade 5 when my elementary school decided to put on the play Annie. And that was my first experience, doing theater, and I really, really fell in love with it. And I knew this is exactly what I need to be doing for the rest of my life. That's kind of how I got into it. And I did a play, I think every year after that. I found, my mom helped me find theater schools and stuff, community theater stuff that I did at several different places until I got to theater school. Yeah.
That's amazing. And 5 years old, imagine starting so young. Like I'm I only started in high school, and
Oh, really?
I'm looking back
Okay.
at it now and I'm like, wow, like that's been, I'm guessing like 10 years technically, maybe
Yeah.
11. And I'm like, wow. But starting at 5, and like Annie's an amazing musical.
Right. Like I feel like everybody has Annie on their resume at some point. And I actually did the show twice. Like anyway, I did it one too many times. But yeah, no, I never like uh before I was 9 years old, like I had never done theater, but I always kind of just like knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an actor, probably just from like watching movies and stuff and thinking, oh, I could do that. Yeah.
That's incredible. Like I can only imagine kind of seeing something and being like, this is what I need to do that young too. Like I know a lot of people kind of struggle of what they want to do. And I guess to follow off of that, do you have any words of wisdom for someone that might want to jump into theater?
Oh boy. Uh,
I know, a hard question.
I feel like I've been asked this before and I never even know where to start just because I'm still asking for words of wisdom from my peers.
I get
I'm
you.
like, how do you like keep going in this business and not cry every day? Um, uh, but I guess for like people that are just starting out, really to remember to have fun with it, because at the end of the day, it is fun. And I think it's really easy to forget that when you get like really into the world of acting and you start training and stuff. And like the biggest thing I'd say is like just remember at the end of the day, whether you're like pursuing it as a career or just like doing it for fun, whichever one it is, it needs to be fun. Like remember that I wouldn't pursue this unless um unless you really, really, really love it. You have to love it because it's an extremely difficult business. So like yeah, you really need to enjoy what you're doing. Yeah.
Lovely
I
put.
don't
No,
I don't
it's lovely put. And
yeah.
like that's the thing too. Like that's why they call it plays. That's why they call
Yeah,
us playing. You know what I mean? It's basically like it's weird to say, but it's a perfection of passion. I guess to put it
it is. It is.
as the best I can put it. I guess it's really about passion. This business, and
Absolutely.
especially in theater, because usually, guys, it's not very lucrative.
No. No, it's
But
not.
it really isn't. And like theater, I mean, if you don't love it, it's not really a. I don't want to discourage people, but if you're doing it for money, don't do it, because in
No.
reality, there's not much money in it.
No, absolutely not. Like I was actually just talking about this with a friend of mine the other day, and her passion is very much in theater, and that's what she wants to be doing. But she also brought up to me like, um, well, I also have to, start getting comfortable in front of the camera and doing film and stuff because that's where the money's at. And that's definitely true. And I don't think I'm ever gonna like for me right now, I'm more focused on film and television just because that's always been what I wanted to do. But I don't think I'm ever gonna like fall out of love with theater. That's always gonna be like my first love. But yeah, that's definitely not something you go to for money.
No,
No.
definitely not. And that's the thing too. Like I know I've had to kind of adjust to moving out of theater school and then jumping directly into film work, TV work, because also Montreal, if we're talking about here, there's a lot of theater, but the thing is too, now during the pandemic, you can't really do much theater, right? You have to
Yeah.
kind of focus on film. Even if you are doing theater, it's usually digital, so you kind of have to get comfortable with the camera, right?
Yeah, I actually think that's so interesting though. Well, thinking from a theater student perspective, it sucks to be a theater student right
Oh
now.
yeah.
It's really awful. And I've spoken to some of my former teachers and it's just like a little bit of a nightmare. But also on the flip side of that is that they're getting comfortable in front of the camera, which I think is like a really really important other aspect of training because if you want to make a living out of this, you need to find that you need to be doing film and television hopefully. um so I thought that was really cool when some of my former teachers were telling me like, oh, they did their whole final like their play at the end of the semester was like all online, right? And I was like, oh well, at least they're getting comfortable in front of a screen because that took me forever to get used to.
And that's the thing too. Like I was talking to a second year on here, and they're basically saying that they've had to kind of learn film language even
Mm-hmm.
more. And I was saying to them that's a useful tool that we only got to really know in our years later on in our years there. So it's kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
good to
yeah.
kind of just jump right into that, and maybe who knows, in the curriculum later on, it might be something that they add to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, look, they're probably going to come out of theater school like way more ahead of like where I was at when I
Right?
left in terms of film and television, like I'm sure they're learning so much more about it, which I think is amazing.
I honestly cannot wait to see what comes from this as well. Because a
Yeah.
lot of people are writing now, and a lot of people are doing stuff
Yeah,
during this time, because what else do you have to do, right?
exactly. Oh my God. I can relate to that. I'm writing more than I ever have before. So I think it's amazing all the art that's actually coming out of this. It's a really crappy time and it's sad for a lot of people. Um, I haven't had like the greatest time this past year, but something that I've leaned on the most is art. So that's the beautiful part about it.
It really is, and it's beautiful to hear that art has been that much of a focus for you, and
Yeah.
hopefully you can express more vulnerability in your art now because of that. With that being said, I want to talk about what you wrote and then what you directed too, which just came out. How was Blue for you? Because that was an amazing, amazing film, and you guys definitely need to go check it out if you haven't already. So how was that for you?
Thank you so much. It was so much fun. Oh my God. That was the first, it's not the first short film I've ever made, but it's the first one that I put out there. And I went into the project knowing this one I'm just putting on online. I want people to see this. I'm not going to have it run through like a festival circuit. I just want to put it out there. And I wrote it back in August 2020 when I was bored and lonely. And I just came up with this idea. And I wanted to keep it COVID friendly. So like there's just me on screen. So it's the first time I've ever written something that there's only like one character. Um, so it was just easier to film that way, unfortunately. But um, so I did that in August and I wasn't sure when I was gonna film it. Uh, just because of all the restrictions, right? I was like, oh, maybe I'll film it later when things are easier. But like looking back now, back in August, it was the easiest time. Like I should have shot it then because it just got worse. But I ended up being hospitalized for my Crohn's disease, which I'm very open about online. And so that kind of like threw a wrench in my plans. Um, and coming out of the hospital, I was there for a month. I really realized, oh my God, the only thing I want to be doing with my life is making art, making movies. I need to film this now. So I kind of just like got out of the hospital. I gave myself like a couple weeks to be able to walk after surgery. And I was like, okay, I'm filming this now. So the process, we filmed it in one day with a small group of people, and I have never had more fun. And now I'm like, I'm really really obsessed with it, and I need to be making more movies.
Well, I cannot wait to watch them. And honestly, that's incredible. To hear that, like you were pretty much bedridden, and then you come out and you're like art. And
Art.
you know what? It's incredible. More people need to like just follow. I've been saying on the podcast, follow your passion, and if like take the leap. And I've been saying that
Yeah,
before. Like, what is there to lose, especially now with COVID? We kind of need to hold on to the things we love so dearly.
yeah,
And it's good to kind of just, if you are
absolutely.
passionate about this, like we said, it's a profession of passion, so just hold on to it as tight as you can. I know at the beginning of the pandemic, all I was doing was reading Shakespeare. All I was
Oh,
doing was
really?
watching Shakespeare.
Wow. Good
um
for you. Wow.
because I'm like, you know what, like if I'm going to be just pursuing more acting and whatnot, I might as well get more and more, I guess, educated on something that I love dearly.
Yeah,
So why not just read the classics again and try and, I guess study them as
absolutely.
much as possible. So
That's actually amazing. I don't think I could do that. But then again, Shakespeare isn't exactly my niche. But no, but what you're saying, like, it really resonates, right? Because we've been given so much time, you know. For example, like for me, I was working as a graphic designer and I lost that job at the beginning, and it just gave me like a lot of time to reflect. And then, like I said, with being hospitalized, and it just kind of made me realize, like, what am I going to do with this time? I could either like sit and wallow in self-pity or I could take this time that I have every single day and like read this book that I always wanted to read on filmmaking, make that movie, write that script. And for you, like, it's been reading Shakespeare. I don't know what else you've been doing, but I'm sure it's a lot of that kind of art. So yeah, I'm just trying my best to look at the silver lining in this.
yeah, and I think that's all we can do right now is you kind of have to make yourself busy, because if
Yeah,
you wallow in your own thoughts right now, it's not a good place to be.
no,
Because I mean, that's the thing. It's a very dark time right now, right? So kind of you need to find those little pockets of light and hold on to them as much as possible.
exactly. And the way, like, I'm trying to approach everything with as much gratitude as possible. Um, and I like to remind myself, like, if the pandemic wasn't happening right now, yeah, you'd be out seeing your friends all the time and you'd be doing so much more work. But would you have had time to write that movie and to film that movie and to write this new script? Like, I'm trying to remind myself of like all the positives, you know? I wouldn't have had all that. I wouldn't be concentrating on what I'm doing right now. And I'm really proud of what I'm doing.
You guys heard it here first. I mean, we're trying to be as I guess inspirational as possible, guys.
Yeah.
And Olivia's on point with that. You guys really need to focus on, I guess, what would your life be now if COVID didn't exist, right?
Right?
And that's the thing. Like, it's hard to think about because we have this whole like new normal, I guess you can say,
Yeah.
that like it's normal to kind of be on Zoom and talk like this now. It's normal to kind of stay apart from people, even though I'm a very affectionate person. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, it's weird. And we were saying it's gonna be weird coming out of this, because we're gonna kind of have like this COVID PTSD, because we're going to be like, there's so many people around us, and you're going to be very weirded out by that at the beginning.
Yeah, oh my God, I've thought about that. But actually, something I wanted to bring up while you were speaking was like another thing that for me and a few other people in my life have mentioned, like a big positive for me is that I've actually, weirdly enough, connected with so many more people than I ever have before during the pandemic. And I think it's because we're all really getting used to this online way of communicating. And people really are feeling a loneliness that they've maybe never experienced before in their life. So, like, I started reaching out a lot more to people that I had never really spoken to with. People were reaching out to me, and I was like, at first, I was surprised. I was like, why is this, like, how is this happening? This is so funny. And one of my closest friends now um came from this pandemic. Like, we were just bored and started texting, and now she's my best friend. And like, that's been a huge thing that, like, I wouldn't take back, you know. Like, I'm really happy that happened and that people are getting they're feeling more vulnerable, I think. You know, we're not, for personally for me, like, I'm no longer like afraid to, like, if I wanted to talk to that person, I'm going to message you. I'm going to talk to you now, cuz what do I have to lose? Like, we're just all stuck at home, and I think everybody can appreciate when somebody reaches out.
And that's the thing too. Like I was saying at the beginning, you reach out, guys. Like,
Yeah.
what do you have to lose if you've been talking to more people? That's only adding to your friend list. It's only
Yeah.
adding to your life and hopefully their life. So
Exactly.
continue.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I wouldn't be able to get through this time right now if I wasn't connecting with people, even if it's online. Like, that's still very much connecting for me. So, yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. So let's actually hop into something that we've both been a part of, which is the theater department. So I want to get your point of view on, I guess, looking back, because it has been a while. How has or I guess I guess I'll start off with, what exactly was one of your like favorite parts of the theater department?
Ooh, there's so many favorites. I guess the thing that stands out to me the most is like the shows itself and the costumes and um how we'll pretty much never be as lucky as that again. No, that's maybe not true, but to have these costumes that are tailored to you and people that are working specifically around you, and like the costume department is unbelievable at Abbott. Like I'm just still so impressed till this day. And just being on that stage, that big cast green stage, I think that was my favorite part. And my other favorite part of that is that when you are in showtime, the bond you have with your ensemble is stronger than it ever has been. Like you just feel so much love for everybody. And when you finish a show, oh my God, I'll never ever forget the feeling of like, we'd all be taking our bows and then we're like running backstage and we'd just all be like screaming and just so excited and telling everybody, oh my God, you're amazing. And just, it's such a wonderful, really, really wonderful experience. I'm sure you felt that too.
Oh yeah. That's the thing too. Like you become a family.
Yeah.
Over the 3 years, and just even the smallest performance, it can be a scene and you're like, that touched me. You know what I mean? But definitely when you get on that Casgrain stage, even for the first time or the second time,
Yeah.
or however many times you go on it, there's just something about it that you cherish.
Yeah.
And it's incredible that you end your entire journey back on that stage, right?
Yeah, I definitely feel really lucky with my time at Abbott. And I loved my year too, and we have so many funny stories and memories, and I can't wait till we have like a reunion down the line. Like we're gonna be revisiting a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like I remember we did a Zoom call my year a couple weeks ago, and we're
Oh
like, you know
yeah.
what, why not? Why not just hop on? You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
right now, again, we have the time. So we're like, you know what? Let's just do it. Whoever can join, great. And we'll just catch up. But it's true. Like you form this amazing bond over every show you do.
Yeah.
And it's even with the second years, third years dynamic, you get that sort of, I guess part family members, or like
Yeah.
half. You get like step brothers and sisters,
Yeah.
where they kind of join your family for that duration of time, and you learn from them, they learn from you. I know that when I was in third year, there were first years coming up to us, and we're like, how can I do this? How can I do this? It's such an amazing community in the
Yeah.
department.
I definitely loved, I think we all loved when we were like finally in second year and the first years were coming in. We're like, oh my God, we're gonna be their mentors. I mean, they didn't need us, but it was really an exciting feeling to like feel like we could help in some way. I should also mention that my like absolute favorite part of theater school was meeting my best friend, Emily Johnston. Shout out to her. She's my friend for life. So I wouldn't have met her without the program.
That's the thing too. Like there's a whole different bond that you get when you spend that much time with people.
Yeah.
And like they literally do become your brothers and sisters. I wasn't using that figuratively.
No,
They
it's so,
literally become that close to you.
it really is true. Like, and family argues too. So like you'll argue, but at the end of the day, it just like makes you stronger. I think, at least for my year, like our dynamic on stage was really, really strong because of that bond.
No, for sure. And it was definitely shown when I definitely went to go see this production, of which I'm going to catapult off of that. You Can't Take It With You. Now, that show, your last show,
It was
Amazing.
not my last show.
Second to last show. Second
to last.
Second to last, because we're going to talk about Gut Girls.
Yeah.
But You Can't Take It With You. My God. My God. Hilarious.
Ah, God, I loved that show. I loved it. I feel like oh my God. Yeah, I have wonderful, wonderful memories of that show and everybody in my ensemble. I mean, everybody really brought their A game, and the comedy was just my favorite memories, I think, are from that show.
Understandable. I mean, the set, the costume. You played the main role in Alice, or one of the main roles. My God. Just like I already was inspired by your year, but just the comedy in that show had me laughing, like gut laughing, from beginning to end.
I'm so happy. Like, I'm so happy that you remember it, because it's been quite a few years. So for it to stick in your mind, like, I guess we did something right.
Definitely. And that's with every show I find at Abbott too, because we were talking about the costumes, the amazing set design. I know you guys had like a beautiful floor that you guys had on that.
Yeah. It was stunning. And I think that was like my favorite. I talk a lot about the costumes because I had so much fun with that one. I had four costumes, and they were just, they were so pretty, and everybody's costumes were incredible, and it really helped bring the characters to life. And I will always look back very fondly on that show and that experience, because I mean, I feel like in Montreal we don't do a lot of comedy. I don't think so. Like, especially in film and television, which is where I'm focused now, I rarely audition for comedy. That's something, a lot of us don't do. There's a lot of drama here. So I was really happy to like have that experience and to know what it's like to like feed off the laughter of an audience.
It's incredible. Like, I had the chance to be in Dr. Faustus, which is usually a tragedy, but I got to play a clown character. So
I remember
just feeding off of the audience is incredible. Like, there's something about it. And to be in a full-on farce, full-on comedy, can only imagine, because just like the energy you need for, at least for me, the energy I needed for maybe an hour, you guys had to go from beginning to end in comedy, and I'm sure it was a blast.
Oh my God, it was. But like you say beginning to end, but like it wasn't hard, when you're having a blast. You're like, oh my God, the audience is enjoying this, and it just feeds you and it feeds you. And I think the hardest part with the comedy is not breaking character. There were definitely some nights where I had to turn away, like I'm thinking back on some stuff that happened. It was like, I think that was the most fun, when you're like on the verge of breaking character and you're trying really hard not to.
That's the thing too. Like, you had Mr. Kirby and all them, and I'm like, they come in at the worst time.
Yeah.
Because also I did a digital reading of You Can't Take It With You.
Oh yeah.
A bit ago. And I played the grandfather, but like just over digital, like you're trying not to laugh.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, well, I can mute now. I could, I can get off a screen.
Turn away.
Great. But I can only imagine kind of being there and being like, oh my God, I really want to laugh right now, but I can't.
We actually had some instances for me that I'm thinking back on that I really almost broke, when there was like a lot of glasses of water on the table for some of the scenes. And there was a scene where I think it was like a Friday night, and I don't know, I guess we were all off with like our hand-eye coordination. There was a part where like I knocked over a glass in the middle of a speech, and I just kind of stood there and I was like, oh man, and it just like spilled everywhere all over the seat. And then I had to watch, like, I don't remember who it was, but a co-star or whatever had to like sit down where I had poured all the water, and you could just like see in their face, like, oh no. And then another person had spilled a glass. And then I remember Perla, who was in our year, like she came out with a mop that's totally was not at all planned, but they're like, you need to mop up all that water that's been spilled. So that was like I think my favorite memory of the 3 years in school.
That's the thing too. Like even like the things that aren't scripted are usually the funnest
Oh
things to
yeah.
happen. Like I
Yeah.
know in 15 Dogs, we had a giant what's it called? A rug, and we were supposed to take it off. It just sat in the middle of the stage, and Chris ran across, all in character, rolled it up, walked out with it, and full on thing, hit the curtain, hit everything. And we just waited a couple seconds because we're like, okay, we're all laughing too much right now. And it's a very serious scene coming up. Everyone just wait a couple of seconds. Okay, now the music's changing. Great. But like, it's just those little moments that like,
that make your experience, right?
exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing I miss from theater. With film and television, it can be very isolating, especially when like you're auditioning. It's you're doing it by yourself and you have like a reader and that's it. And I definitely miss that ensemble feel and the magic that happens there.
There's something about live theater too, where it's just, again,
Right.
playing off the audience. Like we were just talking about digital theater. I'm talking to a camera, right? It's different.
Yeah.
But talking to people and seeing people's faces, there's something about it.
Yeah, I can't imagine, like, I don't know when theater is going to come back and when that's going to be okay. I'm assuming when, the vaccine's finally out there, but I know like Montreal theater, we're missing it. Like we're all really, really missing it right now. And it's hard. And like we spoke about, we have to turn to the digital way of doing things, which I personally don't mind, but it sucks for like theater lovers,
And if
but
it,
it'll come back.
yes, it will come back. And that's the thing too. Like we were saying, guys, now is the perfect time to write. If you guys are passionate about theater, and you're
Yeah.
passionate about doing theater, again, not very lucrative, but um, right now is the perfect time to write your own stuff that
Absolutely.
can be done later on. And you can perfect it right before everything opens, which is
Right?
hopefully very soon.
Yeah, we have so much time to create the best show ever.
um, with that being said, and with audience participation, like we were just talking about, I want to jump into your last show, Gut Girls,
Mhm.
because that show was different, but so good. I adored that show. Just how Tracy Lee put that on, and your cast, incredible.
Yeah, I loved that show. It's actually, that's funny that you bring that up because we just had, I think Leslie, one of the teachers at Abbott, like she did the costume design on that show and she like recently sent us all a message. So we have like a group chat now for Gut Girls and it's really cute and everybody's been like reminiscing and talking about how it was such an incredible, wonderful experience. Tracy Lee, I think that was the first show she directed at Abbott and she just like, oh my God, she was incredible. She blew it out of the water. Like I hope she keeps directing and she keeps doing that. I know she's done a few after Gut Girls, but uh, that was an experience. I think it was also like the longest piece of theater that I had ever been in. I think it was like almost a 3-hour show. I really hope we kept everybody entertained from beginning to end. But yeah, I love that experience also because we had accents. We had Cockney accents. Very happy I learned that. It still serves me today.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like I know we were doing Pride and Prejudice during our time, Pride and Prejudice and Dr. Faustus, so we needed to learn the accent
Yeah.
for Pride and Prejudice, and I had to learn a Cockney accent for Dr. Faustus too. So having all these tools is great as an actor. The more you guys can learn, um, the better.
Yeah.
There's no other way to put it. The more accents you can learn, the little tricks that hopefully you can potentially do,
Yeah.
juggle, something like that.
um,
It definitely helps.
yeah, it's another thing in your toolbox, right? As an actor. And I'm really, really, really happy I got to experience that because before that, I didn't think I could do accents. I was really scared of it. I was really terrified starting the show and I couldn't do it. I really, really, really couldn't do it. But by the end, like we were all just jumping in and out of the accent and it was really, really easy. And I kind of miss that because when you stop doing it, it's not as easy.
And that's the thing too. Like I know that there's certain words that I say that I still break into English accents. And
Right.
I don't know if that's normal, but I guess as an actor it is. um, because like there's certain words that I say like after instead of after. I don't even know if I'm saying it now. I probably am. But that's the thing. Like there's certain words that like you kind of I guess associate with those
Yeah.
accents, and then you're
Yeah.
like, oh well, you know.
Yeah, I think, well, when it comes to accents, like what I've heard from a lot of actors is like we all have that sentence that works for us in that accent, and then you just have to like say that sentence a few times over, and then you could get into it. So that's my trick anyway. I think a lot of people do that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was a really, really incredible show. Again, like I think Gut Girls and You Can't Take It With Me were really up there for me, and the favorite stuff that I got to be a part of.
That's yeah, and I can agree with that on my end too. Just doing Decalogue, which was such a different show with
Yeah.
Andy, and then doing the amazing Dr. Faust. It's a classic piece at the end. But I cannot say enough either. 15 Dogs was incredible as well.
Oh, I loved that. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm just so impressed with the quality that comes out of Abbott. I wish more people came like from downtown, and like I was always trying to get like I know that a lot of agents and like casting directors unfortunately don't come out to Abbott, but man, Abbott produces some really incredible stuff. So I wish it could be like seen by more and more people.
Well, I know when we went for our QDF audition, we're like, we're putting on this, like
Yeah.
it's not that far, they take the 20 and
Yeah. I think a
but
lot of people think that we're so far away in the West Highland. It's not that bad.
I mean it's a bit of a trek, but you know what? I
Yeah.
feel like if you're gonna spend a nice night out, and if you're a theater goer,
Do it.
do it.
Yes.
You
It's
guys
worth
really
it.
should. It's definitely worth it. And
That's
I
my
know
point, Uh don't underestimate theater school magic.
exactly. And like if you guys want to go into theater school, I know I'm gonna say it on this podcast for so many years. No, I'm joking. But honestly, guys, and I'm not just saying this because I was a part of it, probably partially because of that.
Yeah.
But John Abbott's theater department is incredible, on all three specters of it, where you have the acting, the design, and the tech. Like we're just saying, the amazing productions they put on. um, I am stunned by them every time I go.
Yeah.
You are transported into their world. It is really that simple. The costumes incredible, the sets incredible, and the acting has some of the most amazing, talented, wise teachers I know.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Probably because of my upbringing in theater, I guess you can say. But honestly, their department is incredible.
Yeah, we might be a little biased, but
Just a little bit,
just a little bit. But I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, the talent and I feel like when I was in school, I probably took it for granted who I was being taught by. And now that I'm out of school and like I know my teachers' resumes and what they're doing and continue to do, I'm like, oh man, no, these people are very, very skilled, and we're very lucky to have been taught by them. So I'm happy they're doing that.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm so happy to now announce who will be on our next episode, and it's a great segue because it is another teacher. We have had Andy on this before, but now we're going to be having a dramaturge, a theater history teacher. Her name is Alicia Conway. She's going to be on next episode of the Little Thespian Podcast. I cannot wait. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah. Oh my God, I loved her. Like she knows her stuff. So I can't wait to hear what she has to say.
I cannot wait to talk to her. Coming up in the middle of February, we're going to be taking a 1-week break as we have our second Shakespeare sit-downs, guys, where we're going to be talking Romeo and Juliet, as it's going to be, the infamous Valentine's Day, even though a lot of people associate love with Romeo and Juliet. It's not all about love either, guys. It's definitely not. um, so on the 14th, you guys will be seeing that. So yeah, Lisha is going to be on the next podcast, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. So I have two more questions for you, and then
Okay.
unfortunately we need to go. But I guess my next question would be, what's in the pipeline for Olivia moving forward? I know you said you wanted to write more. Do you want to act more? Is that something that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been auditioning for film and television and working in that field since I graduated. So that's always like Olivia's number one plan. Acting has always been what I wanted to do and what I will continue to do. But moving forward, I've realized I have a lot more passions and other things that I want to keep working on. So I'm actually looking into I'm taking like a lot of workshops coming up for acting, but also for indie filmmaking and learning the how to write grants and all that stuff and get funding for the future projects I'm currently working on. And I'm currently working on something that I hope, fingers crossed, gets government funding. So that's what I'm doing moving forward. I'm taking a few directing like workshops because I love the behind the scenes stuff too. So looking forward, I just want to be a part of the filmmaking process in any way I can and just keep learning. That's what I want to keep doing. Yeah.
That's incredible. And it's good to have your not all your eggs in one basket, to kind of know that you have many things going on. And I know I've thought about doing filmmaking as well.
Yeah.
Just writing, I love it, and directing. Directing has always been something that I've wanted to hop into, because to see what's about to be, like, I guess, made before it's
Yeah.
even made
Yeah.
is something I've always loved.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think I always had an idea of what directing was, because of my background in theater, right? And I co-directed a show with Rob Burns, the Laramie Project, and that gave me like my first taste of directing. But it's like very different for film and television. Like, directing goes beyond just like telling the actor what to do. It's everything. It's the editing, it's the shots, it's the cinematography and all that stuff combined. And there's so much more I need to learn about that. So I'm trying to study and read as much as I can and take workshops where I can. And like I said, with all this free time, might as well jump right into it.
As incredible, and I cannot wait to see all that coming up soon, hopefully. But my other and last question, unfortunately, is going to be, if you had to redo a show that you did either at Abbott or after Abbott, what would it be and why?
Oh my God. uh, oh my God. I think You Can't Take It With You. I'm saying that because I'm also thinking of another show that I did after Abbott, called Any Night, and it was a two-hander. So it was just me and Patrick Park, fantastic actor, and that was an incredible experience. So I say You Can't Take It With You because it was like the most fun I've ever had on a show, and I would love to experience those laughs again. It's really addicting. Um, and for Any Night, because personally I feel like I could do better. It was so much fun. But I would love to like do that show again with the knowledge I have now. Because it was a tough one, just a two-hander. It's really difficult. And I feel like maybe I'm better equipped now.
Wow. No, I like, that's the thing too. Like, I've never had to really do a full show with two people. I think my smallest cast was like 6 people.
Okay, yeah.
But like two people, I can only imagine. Like, that must be
It
amazing, but
it
also
was,
terrifying all in the same time.
oh my God. Yeah. I think what's crazy is like the most terrifying part of that show was remembering what comes next. Like, because there was a bunch of it. Any Night is a beautiful, beautiful play. And it was so hard to remember, like, oh my God, what the hell is a scene after this? And having to memorize that part of the show, and being on stage the whole time takes a lot of energy, like an immense amount of energy. And I feel like I have a lot more energy these days as opposed to 2 years ago when I was still like struggling with my undiagnosed Crohn's disease. So that's I guess the biggest reason why I'd want to redo the show. I am healthier.
Well, honestly, this has been an amazing episode. Thank you so much for being on, Olivia. Before you go, we always shine a light on our guests. So today I'm going to shine a light on Olivia. Again, guys, this is another hard one because so inspirational. You can hear it through our conversation. So passionate about what she does, and continues to show that passion, not just in one medium, but several mediums. Honestly, it's been a great time talking to you. As it always is, you are very, very wise, and I'm so glad that we've had this time to talk, and I cannot wait to see the amazing future you have ahead of you and the amazing stuff that's coming up hopefully very soon, after Blue, which again, guys, you need to go check out. Written and directed and starring Olivia Lepore. It is incredible, and you guys definitely need to check it out. Thank you so much for being on, Olivia.
Thank you so much for all those kind words. Wow, overwhelming. Thank you. It really means a lot. Thank you just for having me on the podcast, and I wish you all the best as well in your acting endeavors.
Oh, well, thank you. And anytime you want to come back on, I would love to have you back on. And I cannot wait, like I said, for the amazing stuff you're going to be coming out with, because my God, Blue, I know I'm going to keep saying it. The cinematography in that too, the blue shots everywhere, incredible, guys.
I just want to shout out like my partner in crime, Auguste Portalance. He is incredible. I'm so happy like we're friends and I got to know him. He's an incredible filmmaker, director as well. Like he's wonderful to work with. So thank you. Shout out to him.
Shout out to him and the entire team, guys.
Entire crew. Okay. Wouldn't have been made without them.
Incredible.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you for being on.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you on the next episode, ladies and gentlemen. Bye.
Bye.
The lights are off. The curtain has fallen, and it's time to say goodbye. Thank you all for joining us on the Little Thespian Podcast. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to ask, either down below or on any of our platforms. On the next episode of Little Thespian Podcast, we talk to an amazing guest that I'm so happy to have on. It's going to be a great time. Her name is Alicia Conway. She's a dramaturge and an amazing teacher at John Abbott College. She is so inspiring, so caring, and I'm so glad we could have such a gem of a guest coming on episode 28 of Little Thespian Podcast. We're going to talk all things dramaturge, all things acting, all things theater, and beyond with Alicia Conway on episode 28 of Little Thespian Podcast. Thank you all for watching and listening to this episode. It is greatly appreciated, and all the amazing stuff you guys continue to give us, which is just so much love. It is greatly appreciated, guys. Please continue to do that. We are so grateful for you guys. If you guys want to show some more support, don't forget to like this video, do comment your thoughts down below, and subscribe to us here on YouTube. It helps us out tremendously, guys. Also, don't forget to ring the bell to be notified on all future videos. And guys, we have some amazing stuff coming your way. Like we said, our next Shakespeare sit-downs with Romeo and Juliet will have an amazing panel of guests, and I cannot wait to talk all things one of the best and well-known Shakespeare pieces of all time, that of Romeo and Juliet. Thank you all for watching this episode of the Little Thespian Podcast, and guys, don't forget, as I always say, to shine bright. This has been your host, Matthew Crandall, telling you guys to always shine bright, even in the darkest of days. We will get through this. The light is coming, and you guys are going to be that shining bright light that is going to lead us into an amazing future. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you all on the next Little Thespian Podcast.